I have to interrupt. We have a live trade. The Toronto Raptors are not sitting on nothing. The Toronto Raptors have acquired, or reacquired, I could say, Jakob Poetl for Khem Birch, a protected 2024 first-round pick, and 2 future seconds. So there is no Gary Trent, as was rumored, heading to Toronto in a Jakob Poeltl trade. And then instead of tanking or making some moves that would indicate the Raptors are pushing towards the lottery this year, they don't move off of any of their players, and instead they go and get their center and Jakob Poeltl, which does indicate another move because otherwise, Lord knows who's coming off the bench. But Jakob Poeltl is back in Toronto.
I think OG's gone, man.
That's interesting. That's real interesting because what is it with this trade deadline with players going back to teams they've already been with? Like D'Angelo Russell is back in a Lakers jersey. Not the same team, but Mike Conley's reunited with Rudy Gobert. Spencer Dinwiddie's back in Brooklyn. And now this, like Jakob Poeltl is back here. It's so many players are just like reuniting with past teams so far this trade deadline. Like they're just trying to go back to where they were in the past. I'll have to sit on that one because I do think that makes them a better team, but it probably makes them a better team for about 12 hours until something else comes. So I will have to sit on that.
It's nice to get it big and to not give up Gary Trent. So if you use him in a trade or if you trade OG or I think those are the only 2 guys that could possibly get moved. I don't see Freddie getting moved probably now if you're making that kind of trade. Again, Jakob, who is on an expiring deal. I don't see Freddie being a guy that's getting moved. Interesting. I think that's something that, we'll definitely have to revisit next time we record an episode and really talk about that. That's interesting though. Okay. I like it.
Yeah, it's definitely good to finally have a big. It's going to be refreshing to not get dominated on the defensive glass or get dominated by size by some of the best centers in the league anymore. So that's definitely going to be nice to see, but definitely nice to see that Gary Trent wasn't involved in this deal either, because let me tell you, I saw the notification pop up on my phone. I saw Jakob Poeltl involved, and I was kind of worried Gary was going to be in this, to be honest, but not bad value to give up. But like you guys alluded to, there's definitely got to be another move now for Toronto tomorrow. Whether it's OG, whether it's Gary. I don't even count out Freddie getting moved just because I don't think Nick Nurse or Masai are against just running point Scotty Barnes and Siakam, which I don't really think is a great idea, but maybe you get a backup. Maybe you actually get a true backup point guard back in a deal tomorrow as well, which is then
Richard.
Yeah, maybe it makes a little bit more sense then, but
I don't know. They might just ride it out, man. They really might just go out and say, "Hey, we're just gonna start Fred, Gary."
Who comes off the bench then, though, right? Because Gary or OG is coming off the bench. Yeah. There's no way those guys are coming off the bench, right? Someone has to be moved.
Gary's walking in the offseason, and OG is probably going to be upset because he wants more opportunity now. He's going to be coming off the bench. So
So why are you?
Doesn't make sense.
Someone has to be moved.
You're not bringing Scotty off the bench and Pascal. Come on.
There has to be a Raptors trade tomorrow, which honestly could put them in a spot where if there isn't enough interest, they get screwed out of some value because now teams know they have to move someone. So in an ideal situation, this trade would have been made later on, but obviously they wanted to secure Poeltl. He could have went elsewhere, so you can't really wait on that. But they are in a situation now where one of Freddie, OG, or Gary Trent has to get moved by the deadline tomorrow. They just have to.
I think this indicator more than anything to me screams retool versus rebuild. I don't 100%. Think they're going to go towards what I've been saying of a rebuild around Scotty. I think this means you probably move. I don't know what you're getting back, whether it's more draft picks or whether it's more talent-based. If it's talent-based, you think they got to move off like 2 of these guys. Because if you trade OG for just one talent, who's coming off the bench? It's the same question. If you're trying to resolve this issue, you would have to think you're moving off of 2 guys. Because it's not like you're going towards a rebuild because unless the talent you trade for is like a 6-man level player, but is that what you're getting out of OG?
I think as we talked earlier, like in the hypothetical OG trade, it would probably be something like a Dylan Brooks, Zaire Williams type deal, like 2 role players for the player that OG is more than a role. I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I'm saying. Like 2 lower
Good
level
starter,
role players,
high value
Yeah.
starter.
Yeah, so
or even
like
just 2 guys that can come off the bench, because then in that scenario, if you get a guy or 2 who can come off of the bench in a hypothetical OG trade, you're now securing a Chua spot on the bench. So you're going to have a couple of guys at least that you can work with off the bench, especially if Boucher doesn't go anywhere either. If you can have Boucher, Achua, and you get another guy or 2 in a potential trade tomorrow, it's not ideal. It's not the best bench in the league, that's for sure, but it's serviceable, especially if they get a guard as one of those bench guys.
I think this does secure a playoff push, though, more than them trying to kind of take it easy this season and acquire some talent through the draft. It seems like they're trying to take it into their own hands. So, while probably not the big move, this is definitely a major indicator, I think, unless they completely swerve us all tomorrow.
Yeah, like you say, it's not going to be the biggest move for the Raptors most likely, but it shows their direction. They're definitely not tanking. That's very clear. And like you say, it looks like a true retool. It doesn't look like there's going to be a scenario where Siakam's going to be getting shopped this summer. It doesn't look like you're going to be just completely handing over the keys to Scottie immediately. It looks like, and unsurprisingly, given how much Ujiri loves to win, it looks like he is staying committed to let's try and build the most competitive team we can today. And given the fact that you still have a top 20, borderline top 15 guy in the league in Siakam on your roster, might not be pushing for a title right now, but they have the assets to retool. They have the upside in Scottie to continue to get a little bit better. So that's the option they play out with this Jakob Poeltl trade.
Like writing is on the wall, man. Writing is on the wall.
Trying to distract us from grilling Portland, man.
Saved by the Woj tweet.